Today we are seeing the heredity and evolution, the first topic of science 2. In that, we have discussed yesterday various evidences for supporting the theory of evolution. Today in that we'll discuss regarding connecting links. Now see the diagrams, they are the diagrams figures of duckbill platypus, lungfish, peripatus. Now what do you mean by connecting links? See, certain plants and animals, they have shown lot of morphological characters by which they can be related to two different groups. These animals or the plants, we say they are connecting links. So I repeat again, what are connecting links? They connect two classes or two phylums, we can say. See, certain plants and animals, they show certain morphological character. That means the characters which we can see in their body with our eyes, they can be related. They will relate these characters. Those characters in the plants and animals, they can be related to two different groups. They are called as connecting links. Now see, in peripatus you will see that the body is segmented with thin cuticle, the parapodia like organs are present, whereas this they have similarly, these animals they show tracheal respiration and open circulatory system which are similar to arthropods. Now arthropoda is one of the class where we see that there is open circulatory system where the blood is white in color and the open blood flows openly. See, in our circulatory system the blood is flowing through arteries, veins and capillaries, and our circulatory system is a closed circulatory system, whereas in the cockroach you'll see it has open circulatory system. So that is similar to arthropods. So here in the first case we'll say the body is segmented, that is showing characters of one class, whereas arthropods other characters are shown. So that is a connecting link which will belong to two different groups. So this indicates that the peripatus is a connecting link between annelida. Why annelida? Because the body is segmented, it has a thin cuticle, and parapodia, that is the organs which it will move. And arthropoda, why? Because it shows tracheal respiration and open circulatory system. So peripatus is an animal, we can say, which will be a connecting link between two groups. That is, it shows certain characteristics of annelida, at the same time it shows certain characteristics of arthropoda. Similarly, you can take another example, that is duck-billed platypus. Now this duck-billed platypus lays eggs like reptiles. Now see, crocodile also lays the egg. So reptiles lays eggs. So it shows relationship with mammals due to the presence of mammary glands and hairs on the body. So duck-billed platypus, it shows both the things. It is a connecting link between reptiles and the mammals. Why reptiles? Because it lays eggs like reptiles, whereas it has mammary glands and hairs which shows the characteristics of mammals. Now lungfish. Lungfish performs respiration with lungs irrespective of being fish. Fish, we know that they perform respiration with the help of gills. But lungfish, even though it is a fish, it performs respiration with the help of lungs. So, this example indicate that mammals, they are being evolved from reptiles. We are mammals. Bat is an example of mammal. So, these mammals, they are being evolved from reptiles, whereas amphibians, they are evolved from fish. Now fish belong to the class of Pisces, whereas frog, they all belong to the class of amphibians. So amphibians, what are they? They can live both in water as well as on land. They are called as amphibians. So these amphibians, they are being evolved from fish, whereas mammals, they are being evolved from reptiles. So I think you understood that connecting link is the group of organism or the plants or we can say animals which will be connecting two classes or two groups. So that also supports this evolution. Now, the next theory evidence is embryological evidence. Now see, if you see the stages, now see here the first stage of various organism: fish, salamander, tortoise, chicken, pig, cow, rabbit and man. So these are what? These are the embryos during different stages. If you see the first stage of all the embryos, you will not able to distinguish that whether this embryo is of fish or whether it is of tortoise or it is of man, because the initial stages of the embryonic development of all these organisms is seen same or it is common. So if you do the comparative study of embryonic developmental stages, embryonic means stages develop here, various vertebrates, they show, all the embryos show extreme similarities. You will see extreme means maximum similarities during the initial stages, and these similarities will decrease gradually in the later stages. So similarities in the initial stages indicate that the we are having a common origin, indicate the common origin of all the animals. That means these initial stages shows tremendous similarity. We are not able to distinguish the embryo of various organisms. That shows that we are all having a common origin. So embryological evidence also it supports the theory that we all are having a common origin. So I hope you might have understood all these proofs. Various what we have seen: morphological evidence, we have seen anatomical evidence, paleontological evidence, vestigial organs, embryological evidence, then connecting links which supports the theory of evolution. Now let us understand the scientist who has given the theory of natural selection. His was Charles Darwin, Charles Robert Darwin. He was an English biologist and he proposed the theory of evolution. He showed that all the species of living organisms, they have been gradually evolved over the period of thousands of years from common ancestor, that is common origin. He proposed the principle of natural selection is responsible for the evolution. Now what is natural selection and what was the theory? Let us see. Now see, Charles Darwin, how he proposed the theory, what he did, he collected n number of specimens, innumerable variety of specimens of plants and animals, and depending on their observations, morphological observations of these specimens, he published a theory of natural selection. Natural selection, how nature selects, which preaches or which tells us the survival of the fittest. That is Charles Darwin's law, the one who will able to sustain, one who will able to adapt the changes which are required for the existence. We say the survival of the fittest. For example, you take, if you are there in a competition and if you are not able to match up with the speed, or if you are not ready to accept the changes, what are the criteria required for the existence, the person will be immediately out of the competition. Same way, nature also decides the survival of the fittest. Nature selects the species of plant or the organism or the animal, we can say, who can adapt to the climatic conditions or the necessary geographical conditions according to the habitat. If the species of plant and animal can adapt to those changes, that species only will exist in nature. Remaining species will get perish. So that is Charles Darwin's theory, which gives a law principle of natural selection, and in that he say survival of the fittest. Now see, for this purpose, what Darwin, he has published a book, and the name of the book is Origin of Species. While explaining the concept, he said that all the organisms reproduce prolifically. All the organisms, they compete with each other in a life-threatening manner. Everyone tries to struggle for their own existence. As in the competition, if you are there on the mark, you'll see that you'll the person who wants to win, the all the competitors, they will try their best so that they can be the winner. Same way, all the organism, they compete with each other in the life threatening manner so that that species or that organism can win the competition and can survive. So in this competition, only those organisms sustain which can live, which shows the modifications essential for winning the competition. So whatever the modifications are required, that modifications, if they are being used or they are being developed in that organism so that it can the organism can win the competition, then this natural selection also plays important role because nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and give rise to the new species. Give rise to, you can say, nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live, otherwise the rest of them perish. So sustaining and selected organism, they can perform reproduction and thereby they give rise to a new species with their own specific characters. Now Darwin's theory of natural selection was widely accepted for long duration of time, but after that there were certain objections which were raised against the theory. The main objections were that the natural selection is not only the factor responsible for evolution. What they said, that natural selection is not only the factor which will be responsible for evolution. Darwin did not mention any explanation about the useful and useless modifications which are required. So, Darwin did not explain what are the characteristics required. There is no explanation about slow changes and abrupt changes. Therefore, irrespective of all these objections, Darwin's work on evolution had been a milestone in the evolution. I have written certain points regarding natural selection. See, the first one we can say, the all organisms compete with each other in a life threatening manner. They compete with each other for their best so that they can survive. In this competition, only those organisms will sustain which will show modifications which are essential for winning the competition. Now beside competition, what he suggested that natural selection is plays an important role because nature select only those species which are fit to live and others will perish. That means they will disappear. Who will be fit to live? One who will go for the modifications which will be required. So nature plays important role. We'll understand by this diagram. See, in the first box there were all organisms which are red in color. Second box you will see that all of them, they are red color except one is green color. Now when these first organisms, insects, they undergo the reproduction, during the reproduction what happens, there are variations. Due to variations you will see that out of the red only one is green in color. Now these organisms, these insects, they also undergo variation, they undergo reproduction, and after reproduction you will see that in the third box you will see that there will be more number of green color insects, whereas the red color are less in number. Now this green color insects, what it does, it will be acquiring the color of the leaves, whereas the red color insect, now suppose a crow comes there and he tries to eat, he wants to eat the insects, what he will do, he will, the red color of the insect, that will be easily noticed by the crow on the plants. So these red color insects, they will be picked up by the crow and they will be eaten. So automatically you will see the number of red color insects will go on decreasing, and the green color which has adapted the color of the leaf, it has the number of green color insects will go on increasing. They will undergo reproduction and all, and you will see the number of species of green color insect will be more. So what is the here? The color of that has been accepted, and this variation has led to the sustenance or existence of that insect. So nature has selected. Now here green color was able to adjust and got accepted, what was not observed or not detected by the crow, and automatically it has been survived. So that is called a survival of the fittest. Now you see objections which were raised regarding Charles Darwin's theory. The first one, that is natural selection was not the only factor responsible for evolution, and here there is no explanation about modifications to win the competitions. He has not explained that what characteristic an organism must take or adapt so that he will able to win in the competition. That no explanation regarding that was given, and therefore the objections were raised against the Darwin's theory. But still it proved very important in the theory of evolution. The next work we are going to understand regarding the scientist Lamarck, and we will understand the phenomena of Lamarckism. So Lamarck proposed that the activities of the organisms, what he said, whatever the organism carry out the activities throughout his life, they are also responsible equally for the evolution. He was a French naturalist, and he proposed that each animal or plant will undergo certain changes throughout its lifespan, and these changes they are being transferred to the next generation, and such changes occur in the next subsequent generations too. Suppose for example, you see, I'll explain you with the example. Now see here, Lamarck proposed that morphological changes occur in the living organism and they are responsible for the evolution. He also said that behind these morphological changes, whatever the activities an organism carry out throughout his life, whether it is a laziness or even if he is very active, the next generation organisms are also that much active. This theory, he called this concept as principle of use or disuse of organs. He gave the example of giraffe neck. Now the neck of the giraffe at the starting it was very small. So this, you'll see that when it was difficult for the giraffe to this neck, where it was difficult for the giraffe to eat the leaves of the plant. So what he said, that development of organs due to specific activities or their generation due to non use of at all widely accepted, but transfer of these characters from generation to generation was rejected. Step by step what happened, the giraffe started raising the neck. Because of the stretching of the neck, you will see that the neck of the giraffe, it became long and it was being transferred. This acquired characteristic was transferred to the next generation, and the next species of the giraffe which were reproduced after reproduction, they had a long neck so that the giraffe will able to eat the leaves of the plants, even the tall plants also. So at the starting the neck of the giraffe was small, but because of the stretching activity throughout his life, the neck became long, and that was being carried further in the next generation. So this is called as Lamarckism. See, even if you take example of ironsmith, the shoulders of the ironsmith they become very strong due to frequent hammering of the movements. He goes on continuously hammering, so shoulders become strong. The wings of the birds like ostrich and emu, you'll see that they become weak. Why? Because they get the food on the land, and therefore they are not in need to fly away from one place to another as they get a food, and therefore their wings become weak because of not using. Even the legs of the birds like swan and duck, if you see, they are useful for swimming due to as they live in water. Snakes have lost their legs by modifications in their body of for burrowing habit. So what are the activities are carried out by that organism throughout his lifetime that lead to the various types of acquired characters, and they are being transferred from one generation to another generation. And this is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters, or we call this phenomena as Lamarckism, because it was explained by that scientist Lamarck. So this Lamarckism explains, suppose the further objections what was there, see, due to no use at all was widely accepted, but transfer of these characters from generation to generation was rejected. This was verified many times that modifications which are brought in us are not being transferred to next generation, and thereby Lamarck's theory was disapproved. The living organism, they can transfer the characteristics which they have acquired to the next generation. That is called as ancestry of acquired characters. Now for example, you see the neck, if there is a hole in the ear pinna, or if you are having a hole in the nose, they are not being transferred to the next generation. So that will be explained. I have given a video here that will help you to understand Lamarckism in more detail. Try and see this video clearly, understand it. You will understand the concept very clearly.
Of giraffe. He said that the ancestor of giraffe had small neck and these were like the horses. As there was no food on the ground, therefore they had to stretch their neck frequently and continuously for reaching at the leaves. The continuous use, there was small elongation in their neck. The character of elongated neck passed to their babies. This is inheritance of acquired character. Over generations, the neck becomes so long that they can eat the leaves present at the top of the trees. Thus, the use of neck caused evolution in giraffe. The character of webbed feet of duck were developed as a result of frequent swimming in the water. The character of weak wings of the flightless birds like ostrich and emu appeared as a result of availability of food and protection on ground with which they did not have to fly, and thus there were no use of wings. Snakes do not have legs. However, their lizard-like ancestors had pair of limbs, but these, as they were not using them, so the legs disappeared. Despite explaining the theory and giving examples, the Lamarck's theory was disapproved. It is because it had been proved experimentally many times that modifications or changes in organism cannot be transferred to its offspring and its next generations. Simple example is piercing of ear pinna and nose of Indian woman was an acquired character that has never transferred to their next generations.
Now we'll discuss regarding the last part of the today's topic, that is speciation. Formation of new species of plants and animals is the effect of evolution. New species of plants and animals, they are being formed, that is a result of evolution. Now species is what is a species? Is a group of organisms that can produce fertile individuals through natural reproduction. Now each species, they grow in specific geographical condition. For example, Homo sapiens, we are on the land. Variety of plants and animals, their specific species, they are grown in specific area because they require that geographical conditions for their existence. The climatic conditions, the soil, weather and everything, they affect the existence of that species of plants and animals. So in general, we can say that geographical conditions decides the species of organisms and the plants. Now the food, habitat, reproductive ability and period is different. Genetic variations, they are also responsible for formation of new species from earlier one. Besides geographical and reproductive changes, they are also responsible. Similarly, geographical or reproductive isolation also leads to speciation. So speciation is also one of the important concept here in this topic of hereditary and evolution. go through the slides, go through the video. I hope you might have understood the various evidences, the Charles Darwin's theory, concept of Lamarckism, and speciation. Thank you. Thank you.